So it's finally a way that I'ma make way for. In a life that I kiss, I'ma live me and more.
Alright, so here's a fun fact. In Australia, we have 770 million hectares of land. Currently, 429 million hectares is used by animal agriculture. 429 million of 770 million. Only 20 million hectares are used to grow plant foods for humans. If we all went vegan, that would probably rise to 100 million hectares versus 449 million hectares.
You know, say someone's like, oh, you're vegan or vegetarian. Well, you know, I do what I want. You do what you would want. Don't judge me. Well, it's like, well, you know what? You're destroying our wildlife. You're destroying my future generation.
Insane. Really is insane. I was a plant-based eater since like 2011, and 2012 to 2014 I was raw vegan. So along that journey I became more ethically positioned, and I realized that, you know, everything was bigger than me. You know, it was a much more honorable mindset to have, a more honorable worldview and attitude to have than to just be focused on you and your own health. So that's when I decided that I'd be vegan. But I became a vegan activist in 2015 in June. That's when I decided, alright, I'm going to do this. And I didn't really know how, but I'm on YouTube and I think this is how I'm going to do it. I think this is the best way for me to get the message out there. What I've learned thus far since then is that veganism is the most relevant cause on this planet. You could be a feminist activist, you could be an activist against racial tension, all of these injustices that occur on the planet, and I don't say this to belittle any of those injustices or any of those activists, but if you are an activist because you do believe in justice, period, there is no greater cause that you could fight for than veganism in 2016 on planet Earth. First of all, even if you don't care about animals, animal agriculture is the leading cause of environmental destruction. This is the largest injustice that's occurring to the planet. Also, if you care about humans' rights issues and you don't really care about non-human rights issues, the animals that humans claim to own as property, these crops are used to feed these animals so that the people in the West can then eat them. People say that veganism is a luxury, but it's really a luxury to eat animal products. The diet of the kings and queens has now become the status quo. So everybody is consuming animal products at a lower price than what it once was because it's so heavily subsidized by the government. But what we're actually paying for, the true cost of animal products, doesn't just involve financial cost. It involves the cost of an animal's life, number one. It involves the cost of environmental destruction. And if you care about humans' rights issues, it involves the cost of humans going without food and starving at a rate that is ridiculous. Every 2 to 3 seconds, a human dies of starvation on this planet. And in those countries that these children are dying, they're growing crops to feed animals in other parts of the world. Rather than eating their direct crops, we can feed way more people on this planet with a vegan diet, and most of the crops on this planet currently are put aside and fed to livestock. We would end world hunger many times over if we just fed those crops directly to humans. The other part to that is, if you care about humans, cancers have been reversed with a vegan diet. Cardiovascular disease has been reversed with a vegan diet. All these things have now clinically been proven to help reduce the risk of many diseases and to reverse all of these diseases. I mean, there's so much science that supports this that it should be just common knowledge by now that all of these diseases that most people have can either be reversed or prevented with a vegan diet. So if people are dying due to animal products, which, like I said, at this point should be common knowledge, if you care about human health, you care about justice within humans, then you wouldn't support such a thing. Even if we take out factory farming and we go to grass-fed organic and free range and all of that, the planet does not have the land space for us to do this. We'd need 3 planets to be exact. We only have 1 at the moment, so it's just not a sustainable, realistic, logical option at all. So not only is it not sustainable, but you're causing more harm and suffering to the plant kingdom and to the animal kingdom. So now that I've broken it down, I hope what you're taking away from this is that vegan activism is the most effective activism for causing mass change on this planet. If you want to fight for a cause, I'm not saying don't fight for feminist issues, and I'm not saying don't fight for racial issues and etc. But what I am saying is that veganism should be on your agenda, and it should be a priority because it affects so many areas. Everybody's connected to the impacts of what veganism can do to the planet. If you're going to focus on feminism and you miss veganism, or you are a vegan but you don't speak about veganism and you only speak about feminist issues, or you speak about that as a priority and you don't speak about veganism much at all, I'm asking you why you think that that's okay. I mean, essentially, it's the most relevant cause that you could be fighting for across the board on this planet. Ecological scientists say that we don't have much time. We may have as little as 50 to 100 years. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we have to prioritize our time here. And yes, we should be fighting for equality, but the thing is that most people that go vegan are more conscious to equality issues, things that pertain to equality, where it comes to other isms, racism, etc. All these things people become a lot more sensitive to them, and they become a lot more aware, and they avoid causing unnecessary suffering in other areas of their life once they address speciesism, which, as Garyofsky said, is the root cause of a lot of these issues. A lot of these issues spawn from believing that it's okay to harm animals that look different to us. And when you start believing that, and you start saying things like, you're as dirty as a pig, or you're as fat as a cow, or, you're a dog, when you're trying to disrespect somebody, all this hatred that we have for animals is really something that, if we address, I think, at the core, Garyofsky may be right in saying that all of these other injustices that spawn from it will be addressed by default in your lifestyle and the way that you think, in your worldview, your attitude towards the world. So that's why I decided to become a vegan activist. It's been such a profound impact on my life, and what I've realized is that a lot of people already agree with veganism, they just don't understand it. A lot of people already say they're against animal cruelty, and yet they participate in animal cruelty unnecessarily every day, 3 times a day. And most people don't like the fact that animals are tortured for their meals. They just like the fucking taste. So I'm here to say to you, go vegan. You start up a conversation and you talk about your occupation and stuff. I usually tell them I'm a nutritionist, and then I talk to them about how I am an activist. And I decided to become an activist recently, so I talked to them about that. And I talked to them about why veganism is so important. And it generally goes down really well. I have significantly planted seeds in over 50 people since I've become a vegan activist, just through Uber drivers. And I've convinced a handful of those to go vegan on the spot.